promises.
Gulliver CRAGG, our reporter, is here in the studio. Gulliver, the names of some of the people in your report were changed.
Yes, it's the construction workers who we spoke to. They were very willing to talk until we pointed a camera at them, but they were extremely worried that being seen on television might cause them to, some of them to not get paid, or some worse, even to get beaten up or possibly even killed. They were really very, very scared and reticent and didn't want to be named. I think that there's some truth in these fears, but probably maybe also something of a leftover of a Soviet mentality of being very, very distrustful of media and power.
OK, tell us more about the depth and the extent of corruption in Ukraine surrounding Euro 2012.
Well, I think that it's the perception that there is corruption. As Boris Kolesnikov said, the Vice Prime Minister, there is not any proof yet that there's emerged, but a lot of questions have been raised by alternative Ukrainian media that the government has not been able to answer as to why these things cost so much and where has the money gone. And there's very much a perception that leaders in Ukraine, from the president on down really, have been using this tournament, which is clearly too big to fail, as a sort of license to print money and to pocket a lot of it for themselves, which has left the anticipation of the tournament a little bit, well, it's made it a bit bitter for a lot of Ukrainians.
Even though they're such lovers of football as well, which needs to be said.
Well, yes, they are, despite their misgivings about the way the preparations has been handled and the feeling that some people have been profiting from it far too much. Ukrainians do love football and are very much looking forward to welcoming fans from Europe. Ukrainians are generally, although it's seen as being divided between pro-European Western Ukraine and pro-Russian Eastern Ukraine. In fact, Ukrainians from all over the country that I spoke to are really looking forward to welcoming visitors from Europe and to showing that they have got European standard facilities, and they're very much hoping that this negative publicity won't prevent fans from coming.
Indeed, the facilities France have in Donetsk is, well, certainly among the best in world football by all people's comments. Let's talk about Yulia Tymoshenko. Now, she's obviously languishing in prison. There is a boycott proposed by the EU of Euro 2012 because of her situation, something she didn't call for. Is there any sign that her situation is going to change in any way?
It seems that these threats of a boycott are really not having very much effect at all on the Ukrainian leadership. Currently, Yulia Tymoshenko is also on trial for a different case which involves corruption that had been shelved but that they've reopened. So it really seems as though the Ukrainian leadership or the Ukrainian justice system is determined to keep Yulia Tymoshenko in jail. In fact, there's even supposed to be a hearing in the pending corruption case during the tournament on the 26th of June. I believe. So there's very little hope at the moment that she will be released anytime soon, though the Ukrainian government, since this whole saga with Yulia Tymoshenko began last year, has behaved pretty unpredictably, it has to be said. So anything could happen.
I wonder what the people on the street make of these things. The Tymoshenko case, the corruption surrounding the tournament, alleged.
They care a lot more about the corruption surrounding the tournament. They think that Tymoshenko was very corrupt as well. That interview with Andrei in my report, he is pretty representative of a lot of people that I spoke to, is they don't really understand why Europe is making such a fuss about Yulia Tymoshenko because they feel that she was also extremely corrupt. She is not really a very popular figure. However, they do understand, I mean, there is a feeling that democracy in Ukraine is under threat and that Yulia Tymoshenko's imprisonment is a sort of symbol of the fact that the current Ukrainian leadership doesn't have enough respect for democracy. There's going to be parliamentary elections in October, and that will be a real test of whether or not there is any commitment left to democracy on the part of Viktor Yanukovych and his team. OK, the EU, though, behind Tymoshenko, we must add that as well. Gulliver, thank you very much indeed. Gulliver CRAGG there with our report. If you want to see it again, you can, of course, on our website, france24.com. This is Reporters. You're watching France 24. Stay with us.